What's the point of life if we all die? That question doesn't just echo in philosophy books or quiet graveyards. It echoes inside the soul of every man and woman who's ever looked into the dark and whispered, "Why am I here? What does any of this mean? If it all ends in dust." We build, we dream, we fall in love, we struggle, and then one day the heartbeat stops. All the laughter fades, all the names are forgotten, and the wind keeps blowing as though we never existed. Is that all there is to life? A brief spark between two eternities of nothingness? If that were true, then all of this, your joy, your pain, your hope, would be meaningless. But listen closely. Something inside of you refuses to believe that. Something deeper than logic cries out, "No. This can't be all there is." That inner voice is not madness. It's not denial. It's eternity whispering from within you. Ecclesiastes 3 verse 11 says, "He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also he hath set the world in their heart." The Hebrew word for world, there is olam, eternity. God has set eternity in your heart. That means even when your mind doubts, your soul knows you were made for more than death. But let's be honest, when you look around at the chaos of this world, wars, hunger, betrayal, the graves that keep multiplying, it's hard not to question. It's hard not to wonder if life is just a cruel joke. Philosophers have tried to answer it. Scientists have tried to measure it. Artists have tried to paint it. But none of them can explain why the heart of man still aches for meaning. Why we crave permanence in a world that offers none. And then, into that darkness steps a voice. Not the voice of man, but the voice of God himself. In James 4 verse 14 he asks, "What is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time, and then vanisheth away." A vapor, fleeting, fragile, gone in an instant. God is not trying to depress you with that truth. He's trying to awaken you. You see, the tragedy is not that life is short. The tragedy is living short-sightedly. The tragedy is spending your vapor chasing things that vanish faster than you do. Every generation repeats the same pattern. We chase after the wind, power, pleasure, fame, wealth, but the moment we reach for them, they dissolve in our hands. Solomon, the richest and wisest man to ever live, said in Ecclesiastes 1 verse 2, "Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, vanity of vanities. All is vanity." But Solomon didn't stop there. He looked deeper and found that everything under the sun is vanity. But when you look beyond the sun, to the one who made it, everything changes. The problem is not with life itself. The problem is with how we see it. Death looks like an ending, but to God, it's a transition. When Adam sinned, death entered the human story, not as annihilation, but as separation. Romans 5 verse 12 says, "Wherefore, as by one man sin entered into the world, and death by sin, and so death passed upon all men, for that all have sinned." Death is the visible wound of an invisible disease called sin. It is not the absence of life. It's the absence of God's presence in the soul. But oh, the mercy of God! He did not leave us to rot in that separation. From the moment man fell, heaven began to move. The Lamb was slain from the foundation of the world. The eternal Word stepped into time and wrapped himself in flesh. And when Jesus walked the earth, he didn't just teach about life, he was life. He stood before a tomb, and he didn't mourn as one defeated. He looked into the mouth of death and said in John 11 verses 25 to 26, "I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die." Listen carefully. He didn't say, "I will be the resurrection someday." He said, "I am." That means right now, in this very moment, life itself stands embodied in the person of Jesus Christ. Death has never been final to him. It is a veil, thin, trembling, temporary. But the human heart still wrestles. Even when we hear these words, there's a voice that says, if that's true, then why does God let people die? Why does he let pain exist? Why doesn't he stop the suffering? Because If God removed death without removing sin, he would only extend suffering forever. But instead, he did something greater. He conquered death from within it. He entered the grave and destroyed it from the inside out. The cross was not defeat. It was invasion. It was heaven storming hell. It was the immortal becoming mortal so the mortal might become immortal. And that is the point of life, to be reunited with the one who made us, to be restored to the eternal fellowship that death tried to steal. Yet most of the world still sleeps through that truth. We scroll through our screens, chasing empty pleasures, while eternity stands waiting at the door. We worship time when time itself is running out. If you think about it, every clock is a preacher. Every second that ticks says, "You're not permanent." Every sunset whispers, "You're one day closer to the end." But the same God who measures your days also offers you eternity. The problem is not that life ends. It's that we live as if it doesn't matter. But it does. Every breath, every choice, every moment of faith or rebellion ripples into forever. C.S. Lewis once said, "You have never met a mere mortal." That's true. The person you see in the mirror, that's not just flesh and blood. That's an eternal being housed in temporary dust. And when that dust falls away, what remains is what you truly are, either redeemed or lost, shining or shadowed, alive in Christ or forever separated. This is why Jesus came, not to make you religious, but to make you alive. John 10 verse 10 says, "The thief cometh not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly." That abundant life isn't found in possessions or fame. It's found in knowing him. Everything else eventually fades. Money turns to dust. Beauty wrinkles. Fame forgets. But Christ, he remains. Still, there are moments, dark moments, when even believers whisper, "What's the use? Why live holy when the wicked prosper? Why pray when heaven feels silent?" Oh, but do not mistake silence for absence. The God who seems quiet is often the God who is closest. He's not ignoring your pain, he's interpreting it. Romans 8 verse 18 says, "For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us." Did you hear that? Your pain is producing glory. Your tears are sowing eternity. You may not see it now, but every hidden struggle, every night of faithfulness, every unseen act of love, they are recorded in heaven. The world measures success by what fades. God measures it by what remains. That's why he said in Matthew 6 verses 19 to 20, "Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven." Life is not about what you can hold. It's about what you can hand back to God. Still, death terrifies most people, not because of what it is, but because of what they don't know about it. But the believer knows. Psalm 116 verse 15 says, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints." Precious, not tragic, not random, precious. Because death for the believer is not the end of the story. It's the final chapter of this book, and the first line of a greater one. And make no mistake, eternity is not a myth. Heaven is not wishful thinking. Jesus said in John 14 verses 1 to 3, "Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you." Place, not an idea, not a metaphor. Place, tangible, eternal, radiant with his glory. But until we get there, what do we do with this life? We live with purpose. We live as witnesses that death is not the end. We live with eyes fixed on the unseen, hearts anchored in eternity, and souls burning with hope. Because hope, real hope, is not naive optimism. It's the confidence that no matter how dark the night gets, morning is coming. Do you know why Satan hates you so much? Because you are the only creature made in the image of the one who crushed him. He knows your destiny to reign with Christ forever, and he will do anything to make you doubt it. He'll whisper, "You're nothing. Your life doesn't matter." But every time you breathe, you defy that lie. You were made by eternal hands. You bear eternal fingerprints. You carry eternal breath. And that breath belongs to God. When he formed Adam from the dust, the body was lifeless until God breathed into it. That same breath lives in you. And when this body dies, that breath returns home. Ecclesiastes 12 verse 7 says, "Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it." So don't fear death. Fear living without purpose. Fear wasting the breath you were given on things that don't last. Look around you. Every tombstone in every graveyard testifies that time is short. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every funeral procession whispers, "You are next." But for the one in Christ, that's not a threat. It's a promise. Because death is the servant that escorts us into glory. The Apostle Paul said in Philippians 1 verse 21, "For to me to live is Christ, and to die is gain." Imagine that, death is gain. Only the redeemed can say that. Only those who have met the resurrection himself can stare into the grave and smile. And that's what this message is really about. Not death, but the victory that swallows it. 1 Corinthians 15 verses 54 to 55 says, "Death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory?" You see, the sting of death was sin, but Christ pulled the venom out. The grave had a mouth, but Christ filled it. Death used to be a prison, but Christ turned it into a passage. So what's the point of life if we all die? The point is to die right. To live so that when your last breath comes, it finds you ready, glowing with peace, surrounded by angels waiting to usher you home. The point is to discover why God put you here, to love him, to know him, to reflect his light in a dying world. The point is not to escape death, but to overcome it through the one who already did. And friend, if you don't know him, if you've been living without purpose, chasing shadows, wondering why you feel empty even when you get what you want, that emptiness is mercy. It's God calling you. It's the whisper that says, "You were made for me." Because at the end of everything, when the stars fade, when history ends, when the books of time are closed, only one thing will matter. Did you know him? He's not far. He's here, right now. Revelation 3 verse 20 says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him and he with me." That's the voice of eternity knocking on the door of your mortal heart. Don't ignore it. Don't delay it. Because the clock doesn't stop. The vapor doesn't wait. And when that final moment comes, when your heartbeat slows and your eyes grow dim, you will see what your soul has always known. Life was never random. Death was never the end. And every moment of surrender to Christ was building a bridge from time into eternity. Then you will finally understand. Every tear was counted. Every prayer was heard. Every sacrifice was seen. And you will fall before him, the one who conquered death, and you will whisper through holy tears, "Now I understand. It was all worth it." So live not as one afraid to die, but as one who cannot die. Because in Christ even death must bow. And that is the point of life.